Are you an aspiring creative in entertainment, business, fashion, design, or the arts? Do you want to elevate your creative passion project to the next level? Then this show is for you. Whether you want a career in television, film, radio, literature, music, or beyond, Creative Breakthrough will show you how to take your dreams and turn them into reality. This show will not only leave you feeling motivated and inspired, but also provide you real-life tools to pursue the creative journey you have always wanted. I'm your host, creative coach, and chicken wing lover, Shereen Kassam, aka the Funny Brown Girl. Yes, I have an unhealthy obsession with chicken wings. Now, get ready to flex your creative muscle. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Creative Breakthrough. I'm your host, Shereen Kassam, aka the Funny Brown Girl. Thanks for joining us. We are coming to you live everywhere you listen to podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube. If you listen to it on there, we're on it. I want to start off by saying thank you. I'm so grateful to all of you who listen to the show, who DM me, who email me, telling me that you got something out of each episode. It really fuels me. When somebody else is appreciative of your passion and your creativity, it really fuels people. So if you went to a show, a comedy show, or you went to see a play, or you went to see a band play, go up to them and tell them that you enjoyed their performance. Tell them thank you, because that makes them feel like what they're doing is so worth it. And I definitely, every day when I do a podcast, and I don't podcast every day, I mean when I'm working on it, I definitely feel so grateful when you all reach out to me that at least I know I'm inspiring someone. I'm making a difference. The purpose of the podcast is to help you get to that next place. It's to create those mentorships, those networks, to help you understand what is it going to take to win? What is it going to take to be successful? And when you email me or slide into my DMs and you tell me that you implemented something or you reached out to someone or a solo episode helped you provide you a different perspective, that means everything to me. I won't lie. I didn't think that podcasting was going to take up so much of my time, but I love it. It is something that I've become super passionate about, so passionate that it is 2019. It is February 2019, and I haven't gotten on stage to do comedy yet. Like every time someone's like, Shereen, want to get on this show? Shereen, want to get on that show? I'm like, I can't. I'm working on my podcast, because I am so fueled by how grateful people are that I want to keep producing good content. I do have a comedy show coming up though next week. So if you live in the Orlando area, I will be on stage next week. So definitely come out and check that out. I will post details about it. And it's interesting because the more effort that I've been putting in my podcast, the more it's being seen by other podcasters. Actually, I've actually got to do 3 different podcasts last week, and they were all so amazing. I got to do Smashing the Ceiling with Naomi Meller. It is based out of the United Kingdom, and she talks about strong women who are basically smashing the ceiling. And it was such an honor to be on that show, because sometimes you don't realize how much you're doing and how successful you are doing it and what an impact it is having and an inspiration it is, especially to other women. So definitely was so cool to be invited to that show. I was also on the Thought Card with Danielle Deese, and Danielle podcast is all about how do you budget your money? How do you save money doing different things? And so on the Thought Card, we talk about how much does it cost to start a podcast. So if you are interested in starting a podcast or you have any questions about how to get started, this is the podcast to listen to. And the third podcast that I did last week was the Futuristic Podcast of Mark Gerlach. And I'm totally probably butchering his last name, but if you look up the Futuristic Podcast, you'll find it. And in that episode, we talk about everything comedy. We talk about what it was like to work with Arsenio Hall, what it was like to work with Carlos Mencia. And it was just a really great episode because he and I are very similar in the sense that we're both striving to take our careers to that next level. He actually just moved to LA recently, and he's been working on his acting and writing screenplays and really just hustling out in LA. And so it was just a really awesome conversation to have with him about where he is and what he's doing, and then what am I doing and how did I get to where I am. Something interesting that came out of the two conversations, the one with Naomi on smashing the ceiling and the one with the futuristic podcast, is they both asked me the same question. They both said that they had visited my website and they were amazed with how much I had accomplished in such a short time, especially when it comes to comedy. How was I able to travel to so many different places to do comedy, be in so many competitions, win so many competitions? And at the moment, I never really thought about it. I never thought that I was doing anything different than other people. I was doing anything better than other people. But it sparked something in my head. And I remember maybe a year ago or a year and a half ago, a local comedian here in Orlando posted on Facebook, a guy, and he was frustrated. And he said, all I do are these open mics and these showcases. How do I take my career to the next level? How do I get booked in shows out of state? How do I start making a name for myself? I'm so frustrated. I feel like I'm just going in circles. And then another comic posted, hey, you should talk to Shereen. And he tagged me. And then I responded, yeah, definitely reach out to me. I don't know if I'm an expert in how to do this, but like totally willing to sit down with you and tell you like what I'm doing. And he never reached out to me. He never contacted me. He never reached out to me. I have heard that he's still like in this frustrated mode where he just can't seem to like expand himself and expand his brand. And so today I want to talk about how to fly. How do you get out there and just fly? How do you soar? How do you win? How are you going to be successful? And while I don't have all the answers, I can tell you what has worked for me. And when Naomi asked me this question, I didn't have a very detailed answer because in that moment I was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I just work hard. I hustle. Like anytime somebody asks me, how did I do something? I'm like, I hustled. And for me, hustle encompasses so much. Hustle is working hard. It's dedication. It's passion. It's setting goals. It's stepping out of your comfort zone. It's asking for help. It's everything. But I'm going to break down to you today, what does hustle mean to me? So the first thing that I think is super important about passion is that when you find it, you got to just grab it. You got to actually go and say, this is what I'm passionate about and this is what I'm going to do. Wanda Sykes actually once said, if you feel like there's something out there that you're supposed to be doing, if you have a passion for it, then stop wishing and just do it. Okay? If you're truly passionate about something, you will likely find success. And I so believe in this because in everything that I've been passionate about, I've done well in. Sometimes it's taken me a little longer, like acting, to get to the point where I feel like I'm doing it, but I'm doing it. And that's the first step. You also have to learn how to manage your fears. You can't be afraid of your passion. You can't be afraid of getting on stage. You can't be afraid of trying something. I talk about this in episode 20, how to overcome your fears. I talk about a story that happened to me and how I let it derail me for 4 months, but that I was able to overcome it, that I was able to work through it. And while you can take a break in the short term, it's important to keep moving forward. You can't stop taking action. You can't let fear stop you. You also need to clarify, what does success mean to you? What are you hoping to achieve through your passion? What do you want to achieve through your passion? Are you just looking to have a hobby, something to take your mind off of work? Or do you actually want to make it your career? Like, where do you want to go with your passion? And you don't have to answer that on day 1 or day 2. You can take your time answering that question, but the sooner you can answer it, the more you'll know how much do you actually want to do. So for example, going back into comedy, does this guy who is frustrated where comedy is, does he know that he wants to take this to be his full-time career? I don't know, but if he did, he would take different steps. Right now, I think he still thinks it's a hobby, and so he's treating it like a hobby. When it comes to that realization that he wants it to be a full-time career, he will take those steps to make it that. I'm going to talk a lot about Instagram quotes. Instagram quotes really drive me. It's really weird to say that because I know that they're fake. I mean, I know like anybody can write an Instagram quote and put it up on Instagram and say, ta-da! And like a lot of them, you're just like, okay, this sounds like a fortune cookie, or like, you told me like today's going to be the best day ever, but like it wasn't. So you're lying to me. But anyways, I love Instagram memes. I think that they're motivation to me. I like reading them, and I like how they talk to me sometimes. And one of the ones that I recently saw that talked to me said, we won't be distracted by comparison if we are captivated with purpose. And I love that because I find that so many people just get wrapped up in what somebody else is doing. What's their friend doing? What's their neighbor doing? What's their colleague doing? And then they also measure success by what that person is doing. But if you have your own purpose in life and your own passion in life, and you're just focused on that, you're going to be so much happier with yourself and with your life. And I've realized that I'm on a different track. I went to a business school, and not all, I wouldn't say all, but most of my classmates are killing it right now. I mean, when I go on LinkedIn, they're getting promoted to vice president and director and CEO and COO. And I'm still at a manager position, but you know what? I'm doing something totally different than they're doing. I'm pursuing my passions. They're not doing that. I mean, I can't say that they're not doing that, because for some of them, working and getting up the career ladder and being the CEO is a passion for them. But I don't compare myself to them because I'm happy where I am. I'm happy with the schedule that I have. I'm happy that I am able to have that work-life balance to go and pursue my passion, because I am so engrossed with it that I don't have time to compare myself. You also have to commit to behaviors that will help you achieve your goals. What do I mean by this? There's no such thing as an overnight success. It takes hard work and patience. It takes small steps. In my interviews last year in 2018, I interviewed Tina Mabry. She worked for 14 years. She put out her first feature film, and then 14 years went by before Ava DuVernay spotted her and brought her up on the show Queen Sugar. Okay, Maj Jobrani, he performed comedy. He's been performing comedy for 20 years, and he's just now becoming a household name. Everything takes time. It's like weight loss, right? Like, I'm always trying to lose weight. I talked about this in one of the episodes. Weight is like my biggest stress, but I don't lose the weight overnight. I have a plan to make the weight loss journey easier, but I don't lose it overnight. It takes me time. And that's the same with your creative journey. Have a plan, but don't expect it to come to fruition right away. Another Instagram quote: direction is so much more important than speed. Many are going nowhere fast. So true. So true. Many are going nowhere fast. People are just trying to become Instagram famous or YouTube famous. But what you need is a plan. You need direction. And that's the whole idea of this podcast, is to provide direction. It's to put you in touch with actors, comedians, film producers, TV writers, you name it. I want you to be able to hear their stories. I want you to be able to see, how did they win? How did they succeed? What was their game plan like? And then take those steps, take those strategies and implement them in your own life. That is the whole idea of this podcast, is to help you. And so if I'm not doing that, and if there's something else you want to hear or someone else you want to hear from, let me know, because I want to create this journey for you. Or not, I don't want to create it, because I want to help you create your journey to success. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. Submit to contests, submit to festivals, especially if you're not ready. Go ahead and submit. If it's free, submit. It'll push you to finish whatever you're trying to finish. It'll push you to finish that song or that screenplay or that TV pilot, or put together a 5-minute set. A couple years ago, Issa Rae was having a TV writing pilot competition, and this is right when Insecure came out. I'd been watching Issa's career since Awkward Black Girl, and I was obsessed with her. I was just infatuated with her. She was so amazing, and she'd been doing so much. And so I wanted to apply to this competition because the winner got to meet her. So I was all excited, right? But I didn't know how to write a TV pilot. I'd never written a TV pilot in my life. So what did I do? I took a class online. It was actually free on Coursera.org. I took a class, and everything I did in that class, between the class and then Googling stuff and then signing up for a few newsletters, there's a bunch of people putting out newsletters on how to be a screenwriter or a TV writer. And I learned how to write a screenplay. In 3 months, I wrote a screenplay. I submitted it. I became a semifinalist in her competition. And then I got the chance to meet her. And so I put myself out of my comfort zone to try something And I did it. I got it accomplished because I was motivated. And that's what contests and festivals do for me. I don't know if it'll do the same thing for you, but it's a way to get out there. It's a way to get feedback. It's a way to meet people, especially if you're going to the festivals. It's a way to meet people and start networking and getting your creativity in front of other people. And so what I've decided to do is I send out a bi-weekly email. It's called 3 Weekly Things of Shereen. It's not really weekly because it's bi-weekly. And in there, in my weekly email or bi-weekly email, I am now going to start putting out festivals and competitions and grants and anything that I hear of that will help you on your journey. I'm obviously going to miss a lot of them because a lot of the festivals and competitions that hit my mailbox are around acting, TV pilots, screenwriting, film and media, and comedy. So if I miss something or you feel like I'm not addressing your creative needs, feel free to let me know also. And please send me any festivals or competitions you hear of so I can insert them into this weekly email. One of the ones that is out right now that you guys should all definitely be looking at is ABFF, American Black Film Festival. It's coming up this summer. They do a bunch of different competitions for film writers, comedians, actors, actresses. So go on abff.org and look at that. HBO Access just released their competition, their writing competition. So check that out as well. Another thing that you have to do is ask for help. You can't be proud. No one has ever choked swallowing their ego. You also can't be shy. You have to go out there and ask for help. You've got to ask people, how did you do this? How did you do that? Help me understand. How did you make this jump? How did you make this leap? Don't be shy about asking questions, especially to people you admire. That's another reason I decided to do this podcast, because I know it's hard to find people. I know it's hard to find people to share their stories and their insights, especially people who have the same struggles, the same obstacles. You want to know their strategies. So feel free to reach out to my guests. Some of my guests have provided their email addresses or their Instagram. DM them. Ask them questions. If you're interested in something that I haven't covered, let me know and I'll find the guest to interview. You're going to face anxiety. You are. I do all the time. I'm probably the most anxious person you will meet. Disappointment and failure are bound to happen, but you can't let it get the best of you. You just got to pick yourself up, dust yourself up, and keep going. I think it was Naomi who asked me when we were ending the podcast, she's like, is there anything else you want to tell me? Any failures you've had? And I remember laughing and saying, girl, we're going to need a whole nother hour to talk about my failures. I have failed a lot, but you know what? Like off the cusp in an interview situation, I wouldn't be able to tell you 3 failures of mine. I know I've had them, but I don't dwell on them. I move on. Another Instagram quote, because I'm telling you, these quotes are amazing to me. Another Instagram quote is, you will be most tempted to quit when you are closest to your calling. You could be on the cusp of winning tomorrow. You could be on the cusp of getting that phone call and you just decided, I fail, so I'm not going to continue anymore. And that's just not the mentality that's going to help you, because you're also letting yourself down. You're letting yourself not provide to the world your passion, your creativity, your gift. And you owe that to yourself and to the world. Focus on the critics. Focus on the people who make you cringe. Prove them wrong. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a manager a couple years ago. He was actually my hiring manager. He's the one who persuaded me to come and join his company. He persuaded me to take the job. He said it was going to be the best thing ever. He was such a salesperson. And looking back on him, so sleazy. But I remember getting to my first day at work and he was showing me a deck and he was flipping through the pages. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is not what I thought I was doing. This looks so entirely boring. And then he asked me a question about what he was showing me. And I had no idea because this is the first time I'd seen this kind of stuff. Like I'd never been exposed to the work that he was showing me. And I said to him, I have no idea. Like, I don't know. And he goes, wow, I didn't realize you were so dumb. And then continuously from that point on for the next year, every day it was either Shereen's dumb, Shereen's stupid, Shereen's sensitive. I can't believe Shereen got into an Ivy League school. She probably only got in there because she's brown or she's a woman. And then it started being Shereen's the diversity hire and Shereen only gets jobs at these great companies because she is the diversity hire. And it was so demeaning and it was so condescending and it made me so angry. But then I realized that anger was going to fuel me. That anger was going to make me be someone. And to this day, I still carry around those stories, not because I'm still angry about it, but because it still continues to fuel me. It still continues to motivate me. One day I'm going to be great. One day I'm going to be super successful. And it's this guy who fueled me to go out there. I remember when I used to work for him, I used to go out and do comedy as much as I could. I was almost on stage every day because I just had so much, I don't want to say anger or hatred, but I just had this burning desire in me that I had to get on stage. I had to release the day. I had to go do something fun, and that I was going to be successful. And doing comedy that whole year really helped me get to my comedy to another place, to another dimension, to another level. And it's because of him, because he fueled me to get on stage and keep working on my craft. So find that critic, find that person who makes you cringe, and then go and prove them wrong. Another Instagram quote: "You will never be criticized by someone who is doing more than you. You will only be criticized by someone doing less." How many of you can relate to this? I mean, this happens to me all the time. But this is the thing. This meme puts it all in perspective. Like when someone criticizes me, I'm just like, wow, that person's so angry. What did I do to them? But now it's like, they're criticizing me because they're doing something less than me. Whether that's the real reason or not, Instagram says it is. So that's what we're going with. But no, for real, like I actually did another podcast this week that's coming out, and it's called Not Your Day Job. And Joe, the host of the podcast, was actually saying to me, like, when someone criticizes your work, look at it from this perspective. Somebody went on your YouTube video or somebody went on your Instagram and took the time out of their schedule to tell you that your skit or your sketch or your music sucked, or it blew, or it was awful. They took time out of their schedule. They could have been doing anything else with that time, but they took time to tell you how bad you were. Do you know what that says about you? That for them to take time out of their schedule to tell you that, it means that they are so insecure with themselves. It has to do with themselves when they are commenting on your post. It has nothing to do with your creativity. It could be that they wanted to be a singer, or they wanted to be a sketch writer, and they just never went and did it or got it done. And so you living out your dreams and your passions and your creativity publicly is upsetting to them. But that has nothing to do with you, okay? You have a mission, and that's to contribute to the world. You have the ability and the drive to do that. And you know why I know that you have the ability and the drive to contribute to the world, to share your passions with the world? Because you're listening to this podcast. You're taking the time out of your schedule to learn new skills, to learn new strategies. Not everyone's doing that. Not everyone is working on self-improvement and self-care and self-help. But you guys are taking that time. You guys are taking that time to create a plan and create goals and overcome fear and step out of your comfort zone. And so that's why I know you're gonna fly. You're gonna be successful. You're gonna win. So with that, I want to leave you with a couple announcements. One, I am available on Spotify, not me personally. The podcast Creative Breakthrough is available on Spotify. So check it out if you want to listen to it on Spotify. As I mentioned on my weekly emails, I am going to start adding in competitions and fellowships for creatives. So if you come across any, send them my way. If you're interested in learning more about them, definitely subscribe. Just go to FunnyBrownGirl.com/subscribe. Now, with that, go flex your creative muscle and keep winning. Hey, before you hit pause, did you find this episode helpful and enjoyable? If so, could you leave an Apple Podcast, aka iTunes review? It'll take you less than 1 minute and mean the world to me. The more ratings and reviews the show gets, the more people are able to find this podcast. If you're unsure how to leave a review, no worries. If you're on your iPhone or iPad, go to the homepage of this show and scroll down to Write a Review. Click on it and you'll be able to rate and review the show. If you're on a Mac, from iTunes, go to the show homepage and on the top, click Ratings and Reviews. Also, please subscribe to get the latest episodes once they drop. If you enjoyed the episode and know someone who would love it, please share. From your iPhone, click on the icon with 3 dots and then share via social media, email, or text. If you want to hear more, head over to FunnyBrownGirl.com/podcast. You can also find me online. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at FunnyBrownGirl. Also, sign up for my free newsletter for more tips to advance your creative journey at FunnyBrownGirl.com/subscribe. And again, if you enjoyed the show, do me a favor and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Now, go flex your creative muscle and keep winning. Thank you for listening. See you next week.